Hello class, welcome to Module 7, Introduction. So this week we're going to be talking about, more frame rack stuff, but basically anchoring and pulling directions and pulling things. So I'm going to give you a couple of topics that or things that's going to help you with the lab qualifier. So the first thing we want to talk about is this collar on the tower. So I'm going to try to set this where you can see, what I'm talking about here, okay? So the collar right here on the tower of a chief rack is adjustable. And the thing you need to know is this collar, because it does move up and down and have the pulley system, has a minimal effect on the amount of force that's being applied. Some racks actually, the chain hooks at different locations and the tower itself moves this way. Those have a large difference in this. But with this type system, if I move it here, it's still putting the same amount of force on the chain and the pull that it would down here or even higher. So don't forget that. The second thing, most critical, and you should be able to see all this. Let me get it, make sure, okay? Make sure you can see the whole thing here. Yeah, okay. So, as far as the way the chain is running through the system, I want you to make sure, you must ensure there is no twist in this chain from the pulley to the attachment point, okay? If we have a link out of turn here where as it's pulling, it will actually twist the chain, twist the attachment and cause damage to the vehicle. So you want to always make sure that there's no twist between the pulley and the attachment point on that, okay? All right, so we're going to talk about one other thing is a technique that I call, we're going to call it the loop technique for a chain. Basically, this type technique is going to allow you to hold a vehicle in two directions with one chain. So two directions with one chain. Let me set that up and I'm going to demonstrate how that works there. Okay. Check my screen. Okay. I think you can see that. It might be a little fuzzy. In order to do that loop technique I'm talking about, can you see me? I want you to take the chain. We got one chain right here. We're going to double it up. Okay. So I got it even here, making a big loop, right? And then what we're going to do is take that chain and, we're going to go over the frame rail, all right? Over the frame rail, around it, and we're going to take both ends and go through the loop, okay? Pull that tight, and that way you can take the chains two different directions. Take our quick clamps here. Get a little pressure on that one. Take this one, put a little pressure on it, like so. And what that allows me to do is a whole lot easier. Putting the chains on the vehicle is the hard part. So if I can limit myself where I only have to put one chain here, it's a better deal. That will hold it this direction and also forwards and backwards, okay? So that's what I call the loop technique. Remember, we can take one chain and hold it two different directions. The other thing I want to talk about is what I call the X pattern. The X pattern of a chain is simply as this. I'm going to show you the wrong way to put a chain around a vehicle, and I'm going to show you the X pattern or the correct way. Okay? So, let's see if we can see. Yeah, it looks good. Okay. Incorrect. Taking a chain, going around the frame, and hooking it in it. Okay? So this right here won't do much because it will slide back and forth. All right? So what we want to do is what I call the X out, where we take the chain over the rail, go over it again, crossing over the chain. There's our X, right? Okay? And then taking that, a little slack here, and attaching the chain as such, okay? And what that's going to do, as we're pulling, it's going to allow, there we go, all right. It's going to allow that chain, by Xing it out as we're pulling, you can see it won't slide. And as it's pulling on itself, okay, it's going to get tight and it's going to wrap that. So this is the X technique that you're going to have to know and going to have to be able to perform for me. Okay. Now, one other thing you need to know, this right here is what we call a single attachment or a single pull. We've got one chain running to one attachment. Okay. And what this does, well, actually, we could almost call this one a two. Okay, I'm going to call this not a single pull, but a multiple pull, actually, because we're actually attaching in two different locations. Okay, so let's assume that we just had the top part here, just one attachment. That would be called a single pull. And a single pull puts all the force in one spot. So it, it really puts a lot. If you've got damage in just one area, that's fine. But when we do a multiple attachment points, spreads the pulling force over a larger area. And that, in turn, will keep from damaging the vehicle and make a safer pull, okay? So, what you're going to be doing this week in lab is doing these tie-down techniques on this frame that we have to ensure that you know how to properly chain a vehicle down without it moving, okay? So when we do our lab or our job task out here this week, it's going to be on this frame. You're going to X out the couple of points, okay? We'll have those highlighted. I'm going to highlight those in yellow, the points I want you to measure, okay? You're going to X those out, length and width if you want, but X it out and find out what kind of damage this vehicle has, and then we're going to tie it down accordingly, okay? The last thing I need to show you one more thing is about blocking. Okay, so when we're blocking the frame, let's say we have it tied down here, and we want to, let me put this in here. There we go. Okay, so when we normally tie down a vehicle, we're going to have that chain around it. We're going to go down through a hole, okay, in the rack, and underneath the rack, it's going to look like this, where we attach a sliding plate in there. I'm going to get this one a little tighter. Hang with me. Get this one a little tighter. There we go. Where we get our sliding clamp in there, and it attaches under there. Okay? So the problem with this tie down is, it's a good tie down, but if we're pulling pressure, say we're pulling forward, as it pulls forward, this angle of this chain is going to cause this vehicle to want to squat down and pull down, right? So what we try to do to avoid that or minimize that is using a block of wood, okay? Shove it in there like so, and it makes it more horizontal with the frame, so when we're pulling it doesn't have such a downward pull, okay? So that's what we call blocking on the chains. The second reason we do that is when we pull and this chain gets really tight, all of a sudden when we're done, we can't get the chain loose. So you simply take a hammer, knock the block of wood out, put slack back in your chain so you can do those. So that's a basic introduction. That's the things we'll be working on this week. All the answers for your lab qualifiers in this video, so watch it, and I look forward to working with you this week. Have a good one.